Now, Theo, cloud-based services has been the buzzword internationally for maybe the last 3 to 4 years. But I've spoken to a lot of local analysts and local businesses, and the uptake hasn't been as big as it is in international territories. For those still sitting on the fence, what is the business investment case for cloud-based services?
Natascha, thank you, and I think it's a very valid question. What we have observed in the telco space in particular is our clients are looking for a granular building block solution. And I think that is the challenge that we have, is that cloud is based on trust. And if you don't have that implicit trust relationship with your customer, prospective customer, you will have a challenge on the uptake of cloud services. So what we have observed, and a success story for us, is the building blocks towards cloud. What is your roadmap, and how do we instill that trust? And I'll compare that with dating a pretty woman for the first time. You know, you don't ask to get married up front. There's a process that you go through to get to that.
An extensive process.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people have lost touch with that extensive process. In Telkom in particular, I'll be failing my duties if I don't mention that, we have perfected that. So we've got a team of engagement experts that understand the journey of their customer, because cloud is not a silver bullet for business problems. It's part of a process to become observant in the digital age, because that's what clients are after. They want to get into the digital space. And how do we start to free up a very scarce resource called capital, funds to put into development to capitalize on that in particular? So how do we put together building blocks that takes you through that transition phase? Now, a lot of our clients are transitioning quicker, much quicker than some of the other ones. But do we have that trust relationship to take you to the cloud? And as a telco, we certainly can say yes to that.
Part of that trust relationship is security. And when it comes to technology, let's take a big multinational like a Deloitte, for example, who's sitting with sensitive financial and client information. And they want to know that that detail is very safe and secure. And there is perhaps a risk element because it's not housed in-house anymore. How do you allay those fears?
It goes around the operational efficiency that we have in telcos. And I'm going to specifically talk about telcos because I think they're very well positioned to offer our customers cloud solutions. Firstly, appreciate long before we offered cloud solutions to customers, we were a network provider. So we had the intrinsic embedded security in the communications layer. And one of the 5 key building blocks for cloud computing is broadband connectivity, or connectivity, seamless connectivity. We call it the invisible network. You don't care what you're connected to as long as you're connected to the internet. We've extended that into the data center. So we as a company need to be PCI compliant by mid this year, as an example. So what we have done is we've extended that into our customer base. Also, there's the regulatory requirements that we need to comply to as a telco provider. And again, it's the extensibility of what we do in-house into our client base. Again, just getting back to that trust bit of the conversation. You know, as I said, long before we were providing data center services or cloud services, we were a telco providing communication services, and we've securitized that. You don't care about security as you make a phone call or as you're transmitting data, you know, over the network. So as soon as it hit the data center or the cloud service, you can be assured of the same security perimeter and principles that we've deployed in the network based on some industry standards into the data center as well. And those industry standards is all around ETOM, as an example, PCI and COBIT. And very excited about the fact that we can have that extensibility of security even into the most granular part of the data center or in the cloud.
So that's that sense of mind. But now let's talk about some of the services available. There are 3 main cloud options. It's your public cloud, your private cloud, and your hybrid model, so to speak.
Yep.
Now, different businesses are on different life cycles, different sizes, different budgets available. How do you know which cloud service and which cloud option works for you?
It really depends on what your business strategy for the next 5 years is. There's a new cloud coming out called Community Cloud that actually takes a lot of, you know, what you mentioned into consideration, is how do I now extend my private operations in the cloud, or my IT operations that's you know, secluded to my environment, into my supplier community or into a trusted group of people, consumers or customers. So the extensibility of that cloud. As a telco, we can provide you with any of those options, but it's understanding what is your business drivers that you wish to enable through the cloud conversation. And if you want to have a public cloud, it means that you're putting your information in a trusted network where people have access to that on a general basis. So think about, you know, your social networks like LinkedIn, Facebook, etc., etc. That's in the public domain with the necessary security, as opposed to a private cloud that you want to extend just to your immediate audience, your immediate employees, as an example. Community cloud is taking off at levels such as university, where you're building a very specific student cloud, which has got the corporate body, you know, the ruling body or the, your lecturers participating in that and extend that into the community of students, into the providers of literature as an example. So we're seeing a big uptake on that from an opportunity-based point of view. You have to understand that cloud is a building block for a much bigger revolution that's happening right now, and that's the revolution of digitalization, which has got 5 other building blocks. Now that's why I said, that I recommend customers to have their strategy around digitalization, and how the cloud initiatives will support that strategy. Go for it.
Now, for digitalization and making that part of your strategy, businesses have a double burden these days. It's to be cost efficient and efficient as well with all of these tools, but it's also to be environmentally aware. If you're not housing a big data center on your premises anymore, surely that makes sense.
It does make sense. So one of the things that we have is we see ourselves as a responsible corporate citizen of the South African economy. As Telkom Business IT and Cloud Solutions, we have been nominated for a number of international awards around our green computing initiatives. 2 of the most notable ones are the awards that we got from the Cisco Networkers Award in Bahrain in 2010, where we got recognized for the global innovation that we brought into our data centers. Because we've got a multitude of data centers. We don't have one, we actually have 7 spread across the footprint of South Africa.
And you're passing that on to your client essentially.
Exactly. So that carbon footprint, or the reduction in the carbon footprint, we pass on to our customers. And that will become a very strategic conversation in the future as we start to see carbon footprint taxation coming into the economy. So we're well positioned for that in the future.
Now, Theo, we are running out of time, but in your perspective, what is the future of cloud-based services, at least from a South African perspective?
The future around cloud-based services is the enablement of digitalization. Our world is changing very quickly. We had the industrial revolution, we're now seeing the digital revolution, and cloud will enable our clients to make digitalization part of their communication strategies. Telkom has all 5 building blocks for that conversation, and if you wish to reach us, just go to our website, you'll find all our details there.
Just had to put that in. Theo, thank you very much.